So this will be the more tense one. We can count on the other scissor to make finals. So we gotta have this one make finals for the double scissor.
How do you think they've like ever considered the Scizor mirror? Like there were two in the entire event. I don't think I've ever pondered the intricacies of a Mega Scizor mirror in the
I
finals of this event.
I can't say I think it will be very intricate. It's kind of just about attacking first.
Yeah,
I think
definitely
they're
seems
both
like it.
playing the same list as well.
They are,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a 60 card mirror. Whoever attacks first wins the game. That sounds very fun.
Well, but I don't know that that's necessarily true though, because you do have these Pokemon Center ladies, the Acerolas. You could theoretically just, maybe your opponent whiffs an attachment for a turn because they do need to have two attachments to attack. So we could see some interesting things like that come up. But before we get ahead
True.
of ourselves too much, we have to focus on the top four match. So we are here seeing um, the Decidueye Vileplume player we featured in top 8 against our Mega Scizor top 4 player here. Um, Opening hand after that N, not too bad. We do have the Scizor Spirit Link and an N. We can play it on that Parallel City. Actually, the Parallel City, um, I don't think you want to play it down until you're kind of countering that forest necessarily, but it could be interesting if it's able to limit the bench for Decidueye, because Decidueye does really value those bench spaces, getting a bunch of Decidueyes in play, getting Vileplume in play, putting Lele's down. Like you see right here, they already have 3 Pokemon on the bench. If they're not able to find a counter stadium for a turn or two, that could be relevant. So,
Yeah, no matter which way this parallel city is flipped, it'll do something against this Decidueye deck, either limiting their damage to 70, only 70 for 3 energy on that Decidueye GX, or limiting their bench. Both work. But I think crucially here we found the Spirit Link in the opening hand, which is going to be very important to get down on this first turn.
yeah, we didn't see item lock from the Vileplume players, so getting that Spirit Link out guarantees at least that they will be, barring a Fuel Blower, that they will at least be able to evolve into their Mega Scizor without ending their turn. For those of you who do not remember the Mega Evolution mechanic, and I can forgive you if you have forgotten, you do need to have a Spirit Link attached to your Pokemon, the specific Spirit Link for your Pokemon, to actually evolve into your Mega without it ending your turn. That was kind of the specific nuance of Megas, is that evolving into them ended your turn. And Hoopa EX is a card we didn't see very often either at this point in the format, because GXs were so popular, but this deck does play so many EXs that it is just an EX deck, really. And double Spirit Link found, plus the attachment. We
Yeah,
did see the
wow.
parallel come down too.
At least there's no Trubbish yet. That's one benefit, but yeah, no Trubbish coming down. I think honestly, I would have liked to see uh that float stone in the hand just go down on a Trubbish instead of the grab of the Hoopa. You might have gotten a slower setup, but
Ooh.
um not having the ability to item lock or to Garbotoxin next turn could be pretty important.
I was kind of curious as to why the Acerola was discarded. I don't remember the contents of the hand, if there might have been something a little bit better to
I
discard
think
there.
I think it was every other card ended up getting played except for the N. So the N, either the N or the Acerola could have been saved. Um, Maybe the Acerola was a better thing to save, but I think in as it ended up, this hand was probably better with the N than an Acerola, as I'm most likely to be playing it next turn to avoid discarding the Sycamore, the Guzma, the Garbodor, and all those energies.
Alpacas, the PNGs are staring into your soul. Yes, I tried to get animated PNGs, but they were not cooperating. So you get lifeless PNGs staring directly into your soul. Um, but yes, definitely very good finds off the end for alpaca. Not alpacas. I'm talking to alpacas. Off the end to get those double Spirit Links down. So yeah, definitely the value, preferring to keep the N around and keep drawing cards makes a lot of sense. Um, Shaman found, and it's worth noting too that Scizor actually, ooh, but the Field Blower, oof, that's huge. Just as I was speaking about finding double Spirit Link, there they go. Into the Vileplume lock, wow. But just a pass.
Interesting. We could actually see. I think I'd like to see a Guzma on that Vileplume and just hit it for 110. Um, Interesting. They're just choosing to attack the Rowlet, but I think going into that Vileplume or maybe even the bench Rowlet to discard that special energy. Well, I know. I guess Scissor's first attack. No, only the Mega discards the special energy. Scizor V discards the special energy on the basic.
Yes, forgive us for getting our Scizors mixed up. Oh, and yes,
But
I
yeah,
think this
this
this Ninetales is the
Ninetales,
barrier one, right? The
yeah, it's
safeguard
immune
one.
to attacks from Pokemon EX and GX. And without the Garbodor, is this game even winnable at this point? I think yeah, I'm not sure. I
I
think
think it
trying to
is.
stall a Vileplume active or something like that is gonna be I'm not sure. It's tough.
I think it's actually viable. Or it's actually winnable because you have two Guzmas, you have enough prizes in play that you could gust around it. I don't know how many Guzmas they have access to left, but if you could theoretically just, strand the Vileplume active for a turn, take a KO on it, and get like one turn of items to get back the Guzmas, you could just go Guzma on Shaman, Guzma on Lele. Um, Obviously, you wouldn't take a KO outright on the Lele, but there are enough prizes on the board that theoretically you should be able to take them all, but I don't know how many Gust effects are even left for the Scizor player. So yeah, this
Yeah,
one Ninetales could just be, you know, totally crippling here.
it looks like it's just the two Guzma and then four VS Seeker, but obviously they can't be played.
Mm.
Um, but importantly, the Decidueye player needs that rainbow energy to be able to attack with the Ninetales. So eventually, the Mega Scizor can at least. I think it can discard energy off the Ninetales. I can't remember if its ability prevents effects of attack as well, but
I think it usually those style of abilities are just prevent all damage. So
yeah,
I
it.
yeah.
I just looked it up. It is all effects of attacks, so the
Wow,
Scizor won't
wow.
be able to discard special energy.
That's huge. And this might even be a Sky Return or a Guzma. I feel like this send up signifies a Sky Return, and that's exactly what we see. So now I don't even think this game's winnable for Scizor.
Yeah, we need to see that Vileplume getting knocked out, but yeah, the special energy aren't getting knocked out. Player reading the card at this point, I
Yes,
think.
yes. Same question we had of, I can still discard this, right? No, you cannot. I'm not aware Vileplume was kind of good. Why wasn't I playing back? I mean, you should have been playing back then. We could have been besties back then too. But yeah, this feels like a very. I don't even think it's winnable anymore. I mean, there's only 3 more prizes on the board that you can actually take. There's a big
Yeah,
Lele getting charged up on the bench. I guess this is the only out you have left is bring up that Vileplume and hope it gets stuck.
I think I would like to see basically letting a bunch of Pokemon get knocked out by this Ninetales, and then an N followed by a Guzma, followed by another N, ideally. Um, yeah, I think the Scissor player needs to let their opponent take 4 prize cards before they play this Guzma because this uh Vileplume's obviously gonna be able to get out of the way too easily, I think.
Yeah, it's way too likely that with a hand size that big, it's way too likely that they'll have a way to move the Vileplume in hand. Again, I don't know how many Acerolas they've played, but we know they do have 2 in the list, plus their own Guzmas. You can't just let them have that many. cards in hand before you do that. So that's definitely like a very smart a smart line there is, you know, just let them take prizes. You would love to see Scizor at least drawing an out to the Mega at some point, just to be able to put more pressure on, you know, these turns they're passing aren't really doing anything. So they could afford to take a turn to Mega Evolve here. They can at least stall for a little bit of time. Like this Hoopa can soak up a few hits if they want to, at least one. And we will see the N, which is an interesting choice because it ends away your own Guzma. You're ending yourself to 4, and of course we just find the Guzma right away, and the Mega, so I guess getting rewarded for that play.
Yeah, I think the N like has to come before the Guzma either way.
Yeah.
Like and just hope you redraw it quickly enough. I almost like to see just maybe I can't remember if the last hand had energy in it. I don't think so. I'd almost like to see like the Scizor player wait until they get two like basically stall with the Hoopa for a turn, try to get an energy on the Shaman EX, and then basically N like give up 2 prize cards with the Hoopa, and then N plus Sky Return so that
Yeah.
you get the Shaman back in your hand, so that you can hopefully draw into the Guzma again. But yeah, no Trubbish coming down is huge here because this Vileplume, if it goes down, it doesn't really matter. The Ninetales is still going to be preventing damage.
Yes, that's true. Actually, we had kind of forgotten. I mean, I had forgotten about the option for Garb as a way to get through that Ninetales. So, and there's no Forest of Giant Plants. So, like Alpacas was saying that they can't use Sorolla without the stadium. But yeah, we do just need the
Yep.
Guzma to take that Vileplume out of the active, and with no Gust to bring it back up, that is just going to be a concession of game 1.
I think that the game plan going into game 2 has to be try and take some early prizes. Maybe even just with the Scissor V. You can't give up turns Mega Evolving. Just try and put on some early pressure, and then uh, if that Ninetales board state happens again, you have to give up enough prize cards. Ideally, like give up 5 prize cards. Your opponent's left with 1, just so you can end Sky Return, and then bench a Trubbish, and then next turn Guzma, hit the Vileplume, hope it doesn't retreat. End to 1 should try and guarantee that, but
Ooh,
it's
but here's
obviously not
something.
guaranteed.
That Pokemon Fan
Yeah, but
Club is a huge find because it gets Trubbish plus the Floatstone in your hand. Um, so being able to, I mean, I think part of our strategy for from Scissor's side going into this game is being able to get that Trubbish established. So I think that's something, you know, we're going to see this game differently than last game is they get a Trubbish down before Vileplume is even in play. They get that Floatstone on it. And Fan Club for Hoopa EX is, you know, the beautiful chain of like you can just go get so many Pokemon with that one supporter card. Even top decking the Spirit Link too. I mean, that's a huge find as well. It does once again get hugely punished by that Field Blower if it's found, but I think there's just the one copy of Field Blower in the Decidueye player's deck. I'm not positive if there's more than one, but usually it was only about one. So
yeah, I think here I'd like to actually see Ultra Ball discarding that VS Seeker and the Metal Energy, playing the Shaman, just trying to get another tool down, because the Field Blower would rather, like, if you have 3 tools in play, it's really hard to choose what you discard with the Field Blower. At least one Spirit Link would it be able to stick. But at this point, if we see a turn 1 item lock plus the Field Blower, then there's no tools for the rest of the game.
and that's a great point too, because you're looking at the follow up from Scissor's side here, and if they get item locked, they can't really make use of the like they can't play the Ultra Ball to thin out their hand without playing the Garb to give them items again. So it's kind of like this weird, and that would turn off Shaman. So it's this kind of like weird, like you're probably gonna have to Shaman this on that first turn to even get any value out of it. Otherwise, your hand is just kind of really like it has what you need, but like it doesn't have anything beyond that. So you kind of wanted to see, more options found, and like you said, if you could draw into more tools, at least guarantee you get one Mega into play without having to pass your turn to put a little pressure out. Tracor, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Yeah, so we'll see if we can even get a Vileplume into play this turn to even make that happen. I do see the Gloom and a Shaman. But yeah, getting that Trubbish down with the Floatstone, hugely, hugely impactful. I think it is, the kind of the key to the matchup for Scizor is being able to actually have a chance to deal with both the item lock and the EX lock that we saw with that Ninetales. There's really no other way for them to deal with it.
Something very interesting that could come up is if we see the Vileplume come down here, I think I'd actually like to see holding off on evolving the Garbodor until the Ninetales comes into play. Because as soon as you evolve the Garbodor, the opponent can play a Field Blower and discard your tool off. But if they're stuck with the item lock, they can't remove your tool until their Vileplume or until their Ninetales comes down. It's a very interesting situation where the evolving into just having the tool on the Trubbish and being under item lock is actually protecting your Trubbish more than if you had evolved into Garbodor.
Yeah, that's a great point. And even evolving into it doesn't really, like, you give it plus 30 HP, so it's really not any safer. Yeah, and like you said, that your opponent is also item locked with their own Vileplume. So you kind of take away that one out for them to find the Field Blower by just leaving the item lock in play. And we do see the item lock here. And it gets end away, so maybe the choice won't be taken from, the choice is taken from them here. But, and they find it again. They do find...
I find it again,
yeah. I'm curious to
It's a
see,
bit
though, if
more...
they see that line.
Yeah, it's more interesting here because, like, at a point, maybe guaranteeing the Mega Scizor. Now, yeah, if the Vileplume's active, yeah, I would not like to see this Garbodor come down. It's just asking for the Field Blower to happen. And once that Field Blower comes down, that Ninetales is gonna be putting in so much work.
That being said, though, there is no Vulpix in play, and where you do have access to items here, you could theoretically... Oh, you can't Shaman, though. Might want to hold on to that N.
Yeah.
That was... I think they might have forgotten. Or they could just hold it for the Field Blower, maybe? It's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I think this is... Yeah, probably not best. I think maybe they're typing the...
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah. I don't think this is actually as big of a misplay as they think, because you don't really need anything as the Scizor deck. Like, you're just fine sitting here for a while. But yeah, I think evolving that Garbodor is actually the bigger misplay than discarding that supporter off, because yeah, just having the answer to Ninetales is so crucial.
And I think that's an incredibly nuanced thing, though. Like, I can see how it wouldn't really naturally occur to someone. They're like, oh, I want to turn off this item lock so I can play my items. And it's tougher, too, because, like you said, like, it would guarantee them in that exact situation, evolving into the Garb gave them access to Ultra Ball, which was able to find the Mega Scizor. So I can see both sides of it, where you're like, well, I want to just put pressure down. There's no threat of a Vulpix currently. Maybe I can, like, draw into a Guzma before... wow, we see the third
Triple-double.
Triple-double on this Lele. It will be hitting for 160 damage here. It does go through resistance.
Yeah.
Nothing to scoff
we can see the... Yeah, even I think... Yeah, it's really tough. Like, this Scizor's gonna go down if this Lele can attack twice, even after its energy gets discarded. Yeah, this is very scary.
You could Acerola and, like, feed them the Hoopa or something, but that feels kind of risky too. So we'll see what they decide to do here. Top decking a supporter might be nice, like a draw supporter. Energy is found, which is good. Can try to charge up like a backup attacker. I'm curious to see though. Maybe we'll see them choose to Acerola. It's tough, right? Because your hand is so dead beyond that that if you let this Scizor go down, you're at the mercy of your top deck again, and this Lele can just run you over. You do get to discard one of those DCEs with the Scizor's attack, but I think this is the right call. I think you even just like feed them the Hoopa at this point. It doesn't feel great, but you need to get the Scizor back and established again. I guess you could push up another Scizor, but even that just doesn't feel good. To get the third
this
Spirit Link
situation is
down.
just really tough in general. There's not much like, yeah, there at least there's no pressure from like Decidueye's Feather Arrows yet.
Mm-hmm.
We do see a full bench, which is interesting. No Vulpix threat in at the moment.
Well, I mean, it makes you wonder too. I mean, I don't know that Mauro's necessarily had access to it. Like they might have been forced to, establish the other pieces at that level ball. I don't recall if it was just for a Rowlet, but they could have prized, the Ninetales. I think it is just a one of. And they could have looked at the board and said, well, maybe my field blower's prized, or I'm not going to draw into my one field blower here. They could have just looked at this and said, like, I don't think it's likely that this strategy is going to work this game because they did get that Garb established. So maybe they're just kind of going for the more consistent approach of just building up their board and being a Decidueye deck. We don't know obviously what's in their 6 prizes, so either of those one ofs and Field Blower or the Ninetales could be in there. Yeah. But
Yeah, the Ninetales adds such an interesting dynamic to this matchup. Makes it a lot more complicated.
for
Um,
sure.
like there's so many subtle decisions with Garbodor and attaching tools, evolving, like how many prize cards you're okay giving up, how aggressive you want to be, because like right here an N plus a bench of Vulpix plus like Field Blower could be awful for the Scizor player.
And we see the
Yeah, here comes the
Vulpix.
Vulpix. At least there's a Guzma in the hand right now, but yeah, there comes the end. Exactly like I was saying. This is even just taking the knockout on the Lele is risky, but there we see the Guzma. If we don't see a double colorless and a field blower come down, this could be really good for the Scizor player. Just taking out that 9 Vulpix. Um, yeah, and then maybe finding like a top deck VS Seeker.
Wow.
Oh, we see that that's huge. So this there won't even be so this shaman is active now, but there won't even be a knockout unless we find another energy to retreat with.
And there are 3 double colorless down because of course they were all attached to that Lele. I feel like it's pretty unlikely we see that. So we do just see the Hollow Hunt. Makes sense. Get back some of your energy. And try
Yeah,
to
so
yeah.
right here, I think I'd like to see just that Guzma straight away on the Vulpix, and hoping you draw an energy. Like you need that 4th card because this shaman,
Yeah,
like
I
this
agree.
Vulpix is so important right here. Because it puts you, I guess still like the shaman is a, yeah,
Oh,
that's an interesting target as well. I was just thinking because uh I I don't know how many Guzma, I don't think a Guzma has been played yet. So having the opportunity to win in
just
2
take the
attacks is
prizes,
pretty
but
enticing, but
ugh.
there we see the no energy, so
So well, here's the
yeah.
problem that I see with that line though is that okay, and well, I mean, I guess not attacking. They're thinking they don't activate that Acerola, but you can just Sky
Yeah.
Return. Um, and the DCE
I
was
think
found. Yeah.
I think I like the not attacking anyway, just because uh it just gives less outs to move to the, like the damage is never gonna matter, but it gives less outs to be able to pivot into the Ninetales. But yeah, now this is like there's one Guzma left, no ability to use Garbodor. Yeah, so if that Garbodor was unevolved, like I think the Scizor player would, obviously the game would be very different, but I think the player would be in a much better spot if they still had access to that Garbodor. shutting off the Ninetales, because obviously the item lock would have slowed down their opponent as well.
I think something else to point out here is that I don't know how many energy necessarily are left. I didn't quite catch the Hollow Hunt targets. I know that there was the DCE, at least for the Shaman to Sky Return, but I don't know how many energy they have left to actually attack with this Ninetales. And how many, ways to move potentially like a Vileplume out of the active or something. And the deck size is something to consider here too. I guess with the Feather Arrow being able to put enough pressure in play, maybe it won't end up mattering, but and the Rainbow's found straight away. But yeah, and with your back against the wall, you got to think about these different lines and think maybe is there a way I could deck my opponent out? I've run them out of a lot of energy here, but that N is definitely not doing Scizor any favors here. The Feather Arrow pressure will very quickly take out that Scizor on the bench too, and just like that, I think this game is pretty much heading toward unfortunately our Scizor not progressing, but they do top deck the Sycamore, so we'll see if there's anything they can muster from here.
I think it's just too little, too late at this point. The
Yeah.
Vileplume, like, I think again, the only hope here is feed the Ninetales a lot of prize cards. But I think as the Decidueye player, ideally what they're gonna try and do is take like a 6 prize turn. Okay, well they
Never
don't do
mind.
it, but
Well,
I think if they could have done that, that would have sealed up the game. Just leave N, like prevent N from ever being an option, because as long as the Vileplume can't get stalled active, the game is over just with the Alola Ninetales active. And then also, it prevents even if like somehow yeah, so like the only way to come back here is to basically give up lots of prize cards, and followed by Guzma on the Vileplume, and then yeah, try and take the knockout there. But I think it's just so rough at this point. But that one opportunity for the Decidueye player to play around the end, I think was a little missed there. But they probably won't be punished for it.
Well, I think the reason they might have considered not taking that approach, though, was because of a card we saw in this Scizor's last hand, which is Pokemon Center Lady. With only one Decidueye in play, I guess they could have been thinking maybe I just want to take these prizes now, and not have to worry about getting PCL'd a couple times. We do see the Guzma play, but this is not as impactful without any energy to even hit into this Vileplume. Decidueye also, I don't think they've played a single Guzma.
Yeah, I don't know if they have either, but yeah, I think even like Pokemon Center Lady like probably is actually like just considering the time factor in this situation, it's like it's unlikely that like if a bunch of Pokemon Center Ladies were played, the game probably wouldn't end for a while, and since the Decidueye player is already 1-0, they would have been able to capitalize off of it, but just the game not ending. But yeah, we see the Vileplume is stuck here, which is pretty important. If another energy top deck happens, a knockout followed by something, I don't know. It's rough, but
well, I do have good news for our Scizor fans in the chat and watching at home. An update from the other top 4 match, and Mega Scizor will be represented in the finals. It did actually take down the Garbodor GX in top 4. According to Vinny, he donked a lone Vulpix in the start of game 3. So there will be this 60 Mega Scizor in the finals coming up next round. But looks like it might just end up being this same matchup here if things continue to play out the way they're looking. Yeah, again, just not too much going on. Not having any ways to really counter that Ninetales, and you're really seeing how much work a single safeguard, like it's kind of like Miltank in the standard format, where it's just like if your opponent doesn't have an out to that one card, it can just totally swing matchups.
yeah, and I think that's actually just, well, the stadium card is actually crucial here. It'll allow the Scizor player to survive one more turn, but the Ninetales 80 plus 2 feather arrows would have been a knockout
Hmm.
had there not been the stadium card in play. But it's too little too late at this point. The end of the game's happening very soon. I'm curious why they put up the Decidueye. This actually could backfire. Like if an N came down
Yeah.
and the Decidueye got trapped active, that's like very scary. I'm very not sure why. Yeah,
Could
that
this
would have
just be
actually
a
been game with
Guzma?
the third Decidueye.
Could this just be a Guzma on?
Oh, they got the
Oh,
float stone.
and
Okay,
a
it
field
doesn't
blower
matter.
too. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it will
plenty
just
of
be game
damage now.
over. Yeah. And Decidueye, Vileplume, Ninetales will move on to the finals where it will play the exact same matchup once again in the finals of Riley's Retro #2. And yeah, we have to. I mean, it's going to be the same game plan for Mauro going into the finals. There, just get that Ninetales down.